You really think that rusty relic can hit a drone? The soldier's voice was thick with scorn, his arms crossed as he leaned against a crate in the blistering heat of Outpost Sigma. The desert canyon stretched wide around the base, its cracked earth shimmering under a merciless sun. Warning sirens screamed, slicing through the shouts of soldiers scrambling for cover. Radar screens in the command bunker glowed red. A swarm of enemy drones, sleek and predatory, skimmed low over the dunes, 3 minutes from unleashing chaos. The base's anti-air turrets were offline, locked in a reinforced bunker a kilometer away after a maintenance glitch. No one could reach them in time. The radio crackled with panic. All stations, no active defenses. Shelter in place. Air support is 40 minutes out. We're exposed. Zara Cade, 32, ignored the taunt. Short and wiry, with a messy auburn ponytail and grease-streaked cheeks, she knelt on the armory roof, cradling a battered M24 sniper rifle pulled from the training rack. Her calloused fingers slid a single 7.62mm round into the chamber with a sharp click that cut through the soldier's mockery. "Better hide, mechanic," he sneered again, spitting into the dust. "That thing's older than you. You'll just make it worse." A crack tore through the canyon, the rifle's report echoing off the rock walls. In the command bunker, screens erupted, blips vanished, replaced by a single, impossible word: target down. A stunned voice broke over the radio. "Confirmed hit. Lead drones out. Smoke on the horizon." "Who the hell fired that?" The control room buzzed with disbelief. "No way. Who's on the north roof?" Her name was Zara Cade, a logistics mechanic who spent her days wrenching on trucks and cleaning rifles in the armory's dusty corners. Small build, hazel eyes hidden behind scratched safety glasses, she was invisible to most, a nobody in a base of hardened soldiers. But Zara had a secret she kept buried deep. 5 years ago, she'd been a sniper in the elite Nightshade unit, a phantom who dropped targets from distances that defied belief. A mission gone wrong had ended that life, driving her to the rear, away from scopes and triggers. No one at Sigma knew. To them, she was just the quiet woman who fixed broken gear and kept to herself. The sirens had started an hour ago, shattering the monotony of Zara's routine. She'd been in the armory cataloging spare parts when the alert hit. Radar had pinged a swarm of drones, fast, low-flying, armed with thermite payloads designed to burn the base to ash. The anti-air systems were locked in a bunker after a botched maintenance cycle, and air support was too far out. Soldiers scrambled for cover, their voices frantic over comms. "No defenses online. We're sitting ducks. Repeat, no active systems." Zara's eyes had flicked to the training rack, an old M24, neglected but functional. She'd tested its bolt the day before, a habit from her past she couldn't shake. The soldier's laugh followed her as she grabbed the rifle and a single round, climbing the ladder to the armory roof. "You're wasting time, Cade," he'd called. "Stick to fixing trucks." The roof was a searing slab of concrete, offering an unobstructed view of the canyon's mouth. Zara dropped to a prone stance, the M24 settling into her shoulder like a piece of her soul she tried to forget. Below, a grizzled sergeant named Torres caught her silhouette against the setting sun and froze. That stance, low, steady, predatory, was unmistakable. He'd seen it before in training vids of Nightshade snipers, the elite who struck from shadows. But Zara Cade? The mechanic? He shook his head, muttering, "No way." Through the scope, Zara tracked the lead drone, a black dart weaving through dust clouds kicked up by the canyon's wind. Her mind ran the numbers: range 1,800 meters, wind speed 15 kilometers per hour from the southwest, bullet drop 2.3 meters, target speed 200 kilometers per hour. The math was second nature, etched into her from years of drills. She adjusted the scope, her breath slowing to a rhythm she hadn't used in years. The world shrank to wind, crosshairs, and the hum of approaching death. The radio buzzed with fear. "Ground units, hold fire. You'll give away our position," a commander barked. But Zara's focus was unbreakable. The lead drone was the key, its command module linked the swarm. Take it out and the others would falter. Her finger rested on the trigger, steady as stone. Everything else, the sirens, the taunts, the panic, faded to nothing. CTA comment, Act 1. Ever seen someone underestimated prove everyone wrong? Type they showed them. The M24 kicked hard against Zara's shoulder, the crack reverberating through the canyon like a thunderclap. She cycled the bolt, the spent casing pinging against the concrete roof, louder than it had any right to be. Silence followed, heavy and surreal, as if the desert itself held its breath. Then the radio exploded. "Target hit. Lead drones down." Smoke confirmed at 1,800 meters. The command bunker was chaos, officers shouting, techs scrambling to confirm. Who fired? North roof report now. Zara stayed low, her scope trained on the horizon. The lead drone spiraled, trailing black smoke, before slamming into the dunes in a burst of sparks. The swarm behind it wavered, their tight formation breaking as the command link failed. She'd been right, one shot to the head and the body collapsed. Below, Sergeant Torres gaped, his cigarette forgotten. "That's no mechanic," he muttered. "That's Nightshade precision." The soldier who'd mocked her stood frozen, his smirk gone. Zara descended the ladder, her movements deliberate, the rifle slung over her shoulder. In the bunker, officers crowded around radar screens, replaying the shot's trajectory. One round, 1,800 meters, moving target, outdated rifle, a tech stammered. Odds of that? Under 3% for elite shooters. Maybe 1% with that gear. Captain Holt, a stern woman with gray streaks in her hair, demanded, "Who's on that roof?" Zara entered the armory, setting the M24 back on its rack. Her hands moved with quiet precision, wiping the barrel clean as if nothing had happened. Holt stormed in, her boots echoing on the concrete. "Cade, you fired that shot?" Zara nodded, wiping her glasses on her sleeve. "Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" No answer. Zara's silence was louder than the rifle's report. Then Holt saw it, a faint tattoo on Zara's wrist, a crescent moon with a single star, barely visible under grease and dust. Her eyes widened. "Nightshade. You're one of them." Whispers spread among the crew. Nightshade was a myth, a covert sniper unit that operated in the shadows, dismantling threats before they reached the headlines. Most believed the unit was gone, lost in a catastrophic mission 5 years ago in the mountains of a war-torn region. Holt pressed, her voice softer now. "The crash. You were there, weren't you?" Zara's face stayed unreadable. She picked up the spent casing from the roof, rolling it between her fingers. "We were extracting a downed pilot, deep in enemy territory," she said, her voice low and steady. "High-altitude drop, one-shot window to clear the zone. I was Overwatch. My bullet was perfect. Dropped the target, a mobile SAM launcher, and opened the landing zone. But the chopper's rotor wash shifted my round's path. A fragment hit the fuel line. The bird went down." The room was silent, the weight of her words settling over them. "Anyone lost?" Holt asked, almost dreading the answer. Zara's grip tightened on the casing, her knuckles white. "2 crew members. Pilot and gunner. My shot was clean, but I didn't account for the wash. I swore I'd never pull a trigger again." She'd walked away from Nightshade, trading scopes for wrenches, burying her past in the armory's dust. The guilt had driven her to the rear, where her aim couldn't cost lives. But the radar told the truth. That drone was no fluke. The swarm was retreating, their thermite payloads undelivered. Zara's shot had saved the base, hundreds of lives, civilian and military, spared from a firestorm. Torres, still processing, stepped forward. "Those drones were carrying enough thermite to burn this place to the ground. You stopped a massacre." Zara didn't respond. She slid the casing into her pocket and returned to her workbench, where a half-repaired rifle waited. The crew watched her, their perception shifting. The quiet mechanic, the one they'd overlooked, had just done what no one else could. Cide comment, Act 2. Ever acted when everyone told you to stand down? Type had to do it. In the days that followed, the base tried to celebrate Zara. Medals were offered, commendations drafted, a ceremony planned. She refused them all, her face unreadable as she declined each honor. "I don't need medals," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need the gear to work." She returned to the armory, where rifles and tools waited in the dim light. The captain had the radar image framed, a single blip vanishing in a streak of smoke, and hung it in the command center, a silent testament to the impossible. The story spread like wildfire. Recruits whispered her name, calling her the Silent Blade. They'd sneak glances into the armory, hoping to catch a glimpse of the mechanic who'd felled a drone with one shot. Zara stayed out of sight, her focus on her work. She cleaned rifles, recalibrated scopes, and repaired trucks with the same precision she'd shown on the roof. To her, it was all the same, every task a chance to be ready to ensure nothing failed when it mattered. One evening, a young private named Ellis approached her in the armory. He was barely 19, his uniform still crisp from basic training. He watched her disassemble an old bolt-action rifle, her hands moving with surgical care. "How'd you know you'd hit that drone?" he asked, his voice hesitant. Zara didn't look up. "I didn't," she said, tightening a screw. "I just knew it had to be done." Ellis frowned, shifting his weight. And if you'd missed? Her eyes met his, calm and unflinching. I'd have kept shooting until the threat was gone. Or I was. The words hung in the air, heavy with truth. Ellis left, his view of duty transformed. Zara wasn't the hero of parades or speeches. She was the quiet kind, the one who honed her craft in the shadows, ready for a moment no one else could meet. She didn't seek glory, she sought precision, the certainty that when the moment came she'd be enough. Weeks later another alarm sounded. A new threat. Rogue missiles detected on the horizon, launched from a hidden enemy outpost. The base's defenses were still under repair, the anti-missile systems weeks from being operational. Panic gripped the comms again, but this time eyes turned to the armory. Not for weapons but for the woman who'd be there, steady as ever. Zara was already on the roof, the same M24 in her hands. The missiles were faster than the drones, their trajectories erratic to evade tracking. She didn't hesitate. Her scope found the lead missile, her mind running the numbers. Range 2,200 meters, wind 10 kilometers per hour, target speed 800 kilometers per hour. The math was brutal even for Nightshade. But her breath steadied, her fingers settled on the trigger. Another crack echoed and the radar blipped. Target down. The second missile veered off course, its guidance scrambled by the loss of the lead. The base erupted in cheers, but Zara was already descending, the rifle slung over her shoulder. She didn't need the applause. She needed the next round to be ready. CTA comment, Act 3. Ever met someone who didn't need the spotlight to shine? Type, they deserve it. Zara Cade became a legend, not for the medals she refused, but for what she stood for: precision over praise, duty over fame. The armory, once a forgotten corner, was now a symbol of quiet strength. Recruits learned her story not from her, but from the radar image and the whispers of those she'd saved. She's still here, they'd say, keeping the gear ready, keeping us ready. Zara never spoke of her shots again. Her hands told the story, each rifle cleaned, each bolt checked, each tool placed with care. She trained in silence, not for glory, but because the next threat might come without warning. The base commander, a grizzled veteran named Reyes, once asked why she stayed in the shadows. Because the job's not about being seen, she said, her eyes on a scope she was calibrating. It's about being ready. Reyes nodded, understanding more than he said. He'd seen heroes come and go, loud ones who craved the spotlight, quiet ones who carried the weight. Zara was the latter, the kind who didn't need a stage to prove her worth. Her past, the crash, the lives lost, it haunted her, but it also forged her. Every rifle she cleaned was a promise. Never again would her aim falter, never again would she miss a variable. The base changed after Zara's shot. Recruits trained harder, inspired by the silent blade. They stopped mocking the quiet ones, the mechanics, the techs. They learned that heroes weren't always the ones with the loudest voices or the shiniest medals. Sometimes they were the ones in the back, working while others slept, preparing for battles they hoped never came. Months later, a new recruit watched Zara in the armory, her hands moving over a rifle with the care of a surgeon. Why do you do it? He asked. Keep fixing these old guns when no one notices? Zara paused, her fingers tracing the barrel. Because someone might need it to be perfect, she said. And when they do, it'll be ready. Her story spread beyond Sigma, carried by soldiers to other outposts, other wars. The silent blade, they called her. The mechanic who'd saved a base with one bullet, who'd walked away from glory but never from duty. In a world of noise and bravado, Zara Cade was a reminder. True heroes don't shout. They act. They prepare when no one's watching, aim true when it matters, and walk away when the job's done. The armory was her domain, a quiet corner where skill outshone spotlight. Her legacy wasn't in the radar image or the whispers. It was in the rifle she kept ready, the lives she saved, the example she set. Be that soul. Train in the quiet, act in the crisis. The loud may claim the stage, but the silent win the day. Zara Cade didn't need her name remembered. She needed her aim to be flawless, her focus unbreakable. In the gaps between headlines where real courage lives, she was there, ready always. CTA comment, Act 4. Want to be the one who steps up when it counts? Type, I'll train for it.